Scaling a product-led business is hard. By the end of this training, you're going to unlock the secrets to scaling your product-led business faster. I'm going to be sharing with you a simple 3-step system that can help you 2x your monthly self-serve revenue within the next 6 to 12 months. This system I'm going to be sharing with you has already been used by over 350 of our clients to create their dream product-led businesses, which has actually helped them collect and earn more than $300 million while transforming the lives of millions of users. What I'm about to show you here levels the playing field. As long as you have a product that can truly help someone and you have some paying customers. So that's the goal here. What you're about to uncover will transform your business and hopefully your future. I know, super bold claim, right? But just keep watching and you can decide for yourself. Hello, my name is Wes Bush, and I'm the CEO and founder at ProductLed. And so what we do here is we help software founders and CEOs build their dream business faster without the grind. And I'm going to be sharing the product-led method with you, which is a simple 3-step system for turning your product into a predictable revenue-generating machine. So as a software founder, do you ever feel like you're on a hamster wheel where you're working too hard in your business and feeling a bit burnt out? Maybe perhaps you don't have a consistent, predictable, or reliable way to get users to sign up, get the value within your product, and actually upgrade. So scaling your product-led business, at least right now, feels really hard. So you can really sum this up. If this is you, this workshop is going to be life-changing, which is, do you feel like you're working harder than your product? Now, for many software founders and entrepreneurs, this is 100% yes, especially when your product isn't onboarding your users, it's not upgrading them, and it's not actually upselling your users for you. If this is you and you're like, yes, my product is not working as hard as I am, it's not your fault. And that's the real problem here that we're going to be discussing. Most product-led businesses struggle because they don't actually know the product-led method. And so this method, we've implemented it in hundreds of software companies. It's helped a $4 billion behemoth company called Boomi transition to product-led growth, which has actually doubled their free-to-paid conversion rate and getting 10% of their customers to come from a self-serve motion, which is massive. The product-led method has also helped a small startup like Nzuzo double down on their onboarding, which has led them to actually double their free-to-paid conversion rate as well, soon after relaunching their freemium model. And it's also helped a medium-sized company like LucidLink focus on its core messaging on one ideal user, which has increased their signups by 40%, which is incredible. So no matter what size you are, whether it's small, medium, large size business, this method will actually show you where your bottleneck truly lies in your business, so you can actually just focus on what matters, as easy as that sounds. Before we can dive into the product-led method though, you need to understand that there's these 3 principles of scale. Everything we built the method on is based on these 3 principles. So you got to understand these principles to understand how we came to some conclusions and how this method will work in your specific business. Sound good? So principle 1 is that synergy is a precursor to scale. So synergy, fancy word, I know, but synergy is when you add 2 or more components to produce a combined effect greater than the sum of their separate effects. So from a mathematical perspective, here's an example. 1 plus 2 equals 3, right? And 1 plus 2 equals, wait for it, 100 with synergy. So we know this to be true in science and chemical reactions. Just put baking soda and vinegar together and you've got a powerful explosion. Yet in business, most people still disregard synergy because it's too foo-foo. Yet it's what you need to scale to the next level. To achieve synergy in your business, you must have alignment in 3 core areas. The first is a profitable business. That's key. You must have a business that makes a profit. Profit isn't evil. Profit is oxygen for a business. Without profit, you run the risk of going bankrupt and dying as a business. Just sad. The key to creating a profitable business, though, is to focus on the things you're really good at. So you need to get super clear on what that looks like for your specific business. Now, the second component you need is an empowering product. So without a product, essentially, you're selling time for money, and there's little to no leverage in that business that will help you scale. Yet a product isn't enough on its own. The product needs to truly empower users and help them see incredible value in their day-to-day lives. So when you have an empowering product, you're able to make a humongous impact, and customers stick around for a longer time because they're just getting so much more value from your product. So the third and last component you need to scale is effortless customers. So getting customers in the door is great when you're just starting out, but if every customer is requesting something different, I want this feature, I want this feature, if you could do this a little differently, I will sign up. So if you start finding, oh yeah, that's kind of like us when a big contract comes in, rest assured, you're not alone, but you're not going to get effortless customers just filling those orders. So effortless customers will sign up for your product, get to value quickly on their own, and sign up for a paid plan, all without talking to you. They're almost automatic. And when you get effortless customers, running your business actually becomes way more easy as the product truly does sell itself. However, the road to getting effortless customers requires you to actually change the way you sell your product. Now, we'll go into each of these components in more detail later, but for now, know that in order to achieve scale, you need to create the synergy. You need to have a profitable company, effortless customers, and an empowering product in order to scale. That is the precursor to scale, which brings us to the second principle you need in order to scale your business. And that is, drumroll please, that is how you sell is just as important as what you sell. To sell anything, you need these three growth pillars. The first one shouldn't be a surprise, but you need to be able to acquire people, getting people to find out about your business, getting them to your website to learn about what the heck do you do as a business. Then you also need to have a monetization growth pillar where you're able to convert these users and people to customers and ultimately grow your customer value. The last growth pillar you need is that, yes, you need to deliver value through your product or service, ideally fast. So with the introduction of product-led growth, there's been a lot of talk around,
have the fundamentals of business changed?
And is this completely transformational? Will this do so many different things in your business? The short answer to this question is no. The fundamentals have not changed. You still need those three growth pillars. So what the heck has changed with the introduction of product-led growth? Well, first, you need to prioritize one of the fundamental elements of doing business earlier. In a product-led model, you need to engage before you monetize. Now, this might seem like a subtle, small difference, but the main difference between a sales-led model and a product-led model is really just comes down to how do you engage users? Here's why. What did you do the last time you installed an application on your phone and couldn't figure out how to get to value? If you're like most people, you didn't use it again, you didn't touch it again. Or if you're a minimalist like myself, or maybe an aspirational minimalist, you just uninstalled it, if you're remembered. So we're not ruthless people. It's just how the game works. If you don't create an experience that engages users, it's game over. And engagement truly is the lifeblood of a product-led business. Yet on the flip side of this question, what did you do last time you installed an application on your phone and couldn't believe how much value you got from it? If you're like most people, you just kept using it. And if you really enjoyed it, you might have just purchased it outright. Now, this brings home the whole secret to product-led growth. And this is, if you take nothing away but this one-liner, this workshop will be worth it, which is the whole secret to product-led growth is that your user success will eventually become your success. And so to make your users successful, you need to do 3 things really well. And that is acquire the right users, engage by creating incredible user value, and monetize by growing customer value. When you master these 3 growth pillars and prioritize engagement before monetization, you truly change how you sell for the better. But rolling out these changes in your business can be overwhelming. That's why we're here after all. And most entrepreneurs waste a ton of time just wondering where to get started. Luckily, there's an order to this approach. And that's where the third and last principle of all this comes in. And that is there is a strategic order to scale. So what you focus on is important for sure. But even more important when it comes to implementing product-led growth is the order you work on these problems. This is truly our bread and butter at ProductLed Academy, which is our structured coaching program for scaling your business. For example, if you try to fix your onboarding before you're clear on who your ideal user is, you'll waste a ton of time and not get a good ROI on your time. Remember LucidLink. So they got a 40% increase in signups just by focusing on their ideal user in their messaging, which is bonkers. So trying to hire before you have a customer traction, once again, you'll burn your runway and have little to show for it at the end of it. Now, the good news is the strategic way I'm going to show you will make growth faster and actually easier at the same time because you'll be working in the right order of the components. And so this is all possible if you follow the product-led method. Now, I'm going to actually walk you through the 3 phases of the product-led method. The first phase is really just about getting started. And this is where we build your growth blueprints that will set you up for scale. It's about taking a step back and identifying what is your vision and actually creating a solid winning strategy and product-led model that is rooted in helping your ideal users win. So a solid growth blueprint will give you a roadmap for how you're going to win as a business. And it really just helps you identify what do you actually give away for free and put behind a paywall. Now, I know, having talked to a lot of companies, they have a ton of conversations about, oh, what should we give away for free? Well, our competitor has a free trial and, oh, I heard about a reverse free trial on LinkedIn. Sounds great, let's do it. And then 3 months later, they come to me and they say, why did we do that? That was silly. Why? So we're going to go through actually a process for each of those components. And so phase 2 is really about building. And this is where we're going to build your growth engine and truly create a product that can sell itself. In this phase, you're going to relaunch. What is your offer? What are you actually promising people? Clarifying that promise is so important because so many companies don't think too much about it. And then whenever people get promised something, they go into the product expecting that promise. But then when they don't get it in a product-led business, because you have to engage first, they just don't come back. So we also are going to relaunch your onboarding and pricing so that it speaks to your ideal user and creates an experience that truly blows them away with value. And we can help you do this at ProductLed Academy. So the reason we start with building your offer first is because if you promise a user something and don't deliver it in your product experience, it breaks the trust and reduces the chances that they'll ever become a paying customer. So by starting with a clear, compelling offer, we'll motivate your user to sign up. Then we'll work hard on building an experience that gets them to value quickly, and the transition from a free to paying customer is all the more effortless for the user. So once you have your growth engine humming along, it's time to move to phase 3. Phase 3 is all about exponential growth. This is about scaling. You're going to dig into your data, your growth process, and team to understand what are the biggest levers for you to grow faster as a business. Again, we can help you dial this in at ProductLed Academy, but we really just start with the data component so that you know actually what are the highest leverage opportunities in your growth engine. Where are users dropping off? Where are people not getting value? Do we know what percentage of users are getting to value? We'll go through all of those questions. We'll make sure that everyone on your team is accountable for helping improve a core metric in that growth engine. And once we have everyone accountable for the right data, tooling setup, it's time to ramp up the number of quality experiments we launch with the right growth process. And this is where you start to see the real growth happen, where your team is consistently improving the results on your growth engine month over month over month. And then we can identify an area of the growth engine that needs a lot more ongoing support. We'll work to hire the right team member in place to support that function. Hopefully by now, you're able to see that there is a strategic order to scale. You must complete phase 1 before phase 2 and phase 2 before, you guessed it, phase 3. To recap, the 3 principles of scale are: 1, synergy is a precursor to scale. In order to scale, you must be crystal clear on what your company is really good at doing and how you're going to create a ton of value and who you serve best. This alignment between your company, your product, and your customer is a precursor to scale. And so you'll scale way faster when you create synergy between building a profitable company, empowering product, and helping effortless customers. Yet creating synergy is just the first step. To scale a product-led business, you need to truly change the way you sell, because principle number 2, how you sell is just as important as what you sell. Sales-led companies sell by acquiring, then monetizing, then engaging. Whereas product-led companies serve by acquiring, then engaging, then monetizing. It's a very subtle shift if you think about it, but it completely changed is the way you sell for the better. And the third principle is there is a strategic order to scale. You must create a growth blueprint before investing in building your growth engine and scaling up your company. Too many companies, way too many companies do this. And they make the mistake of scaling up too quickly before they actually have a solid growth blueprint and functioning growth engine in place. Now that you understand these principles, we can unpack the product-led method further and help you identify what is actually holding your business back from scaling. So the question is now, what is your bottleneck? Let's dive into your business and actually answer that question. So scale is a byproduct of having world-class components. And so what we're going to be doing now is we're going to map out the 9 components you need to scale your business. And so as we go through these components, I actually want you to self-rate them on a simple red, yellow, or green scale. So with red being like, hey, this component right here is really bad. We need a ton of work in our business. Maybe it's non-existent or something like that, but red is like concerning, needs attention as far as it goes for your business. So like a yellow score would be something where, you know what, like yellow represents something that is subpar in your business. So it's not terrible, but you know what, you haven't really thought much about it. Maybe it's your onboarding where you're like, you know what, it takes people to the dashboard, but that's it. We got to do something more than that. So while green is world-class and you don't really need to do much improvement for a green component, it's humming along. Maybe you shouldn't touch it actually because it's doing so well. So those are the 3 colors. And the reason we're going to score each of these components is because if you notice one of the first few components you scored is yellow or it's red, you actually need to address that component first. So everything, back to the 3rd principle, follows a strategic order. For instance, if your vision is non-existent or has like a super low score, you need to address it before making sure that you have the right product-led model in place. So do we have a deal? Let's play the game. All right, red, yellow, green. All right, so let's start with the first component of phase 1, which is all about building your growth engine. So it's the vision component. Your vision, it has to be first for every business. In your vision, it's about setting the direction for your business. Too many businesses lack a compelling vision. And without a vision, a business is just a means to make money. So a vision gives a business purpose. And one of my favorite quotes about this, it's from Henry Ford. He always liked to say, a business exists to serve. And a vision pinpoints what kind of service that is. And a great vision explains how you're going to actually make the world better for someone else. So some examples of great vision statements are for Canva, it was anybody can design with Canva. Now for Zoom, anybody can connect virtually with Zoom. And for Miro, anybody can brainstorm together with Miro. So a great vision, it explains who you're going to help and how you're going to help them at its simplest form. And beyond the vision statement, you also need to map out what your strategy is for how you're going to make that vision a reality. So this really includes mapping out these 5 questions, which are so critical to go through in your business. The first one is, what is your winning aspiration as a business? Are you clear on what winning is for your business? Is it to win a particular market in your business? Is it to be the number one solution or the best, but define best on your own terms for your specific industry? What does that mean for your business? And so the second question you need to ask yourself is, where are you going to play? So more specifically, which customers are you going to focus in on? Which channels are you going to market to? Which geography are you going to focus in on as far as it goes? So where you're going to play is really important. And the third part of building your strategy is answering the question of how you're going to win. So what are your moats as a business? Are you creating something that is actually defensible? Or what prevents a competitor from just copying exactly what you do? Because as we know it today, software is heavily becoming commoditized very quickly. So you need to actually be developing moats for your business to withstand long-term competition. Now, the fourth question you need to ask yourself is, what capabilities do we need to build as a business in order to win? I love thinking of capabilities like sports analogies, where the runner, the person who's doing the Olympic marathon runner, they're the ones who are not going to win when it comes to the bench press competition. That's the power lifter. So everyone makes trade-offs. And same thing happens in your business. You make trade-offs for what are you trying to optimize for in your business. So think about, are you developing the right capabilities in your business? So the last question is, what management systems do you actually need to build out? So do you actually have systems in place to reinforce the capabilities, to reinforce how you're going to win as a business? Think about that in your specific business. Do you have those built out? Now, it's time to actually rate your vision component. So color it red if you don't have a vision or strategy that you're actually confident in. Yellow if you might have a vision and strategy, but you think it's not quite a winning one yet. That's okay. You have to admit it right now, because then we can work on it. And green if you feel like, oh my goodness, we have a winning vision, we have a winning strategy that you and your team are confident is actually going to allow your business to win. So here's the fun part. So since there's a strategic order to growth, if your vision component is yellow or red, it's time to just focus here. If it's green, I'd recommend moving on to the next step. As we go through the next 8 components you'll have and identify what is bottlenecking your growth. So once you identify your vision, it's actually time to move on to who your ideal user is. This brings us to component number 2, which is all about your user. At this point, it's time to get hyper specific on who your ideal user and customers are. What are their jobs to be done? What is user success for these users? What is their starting point in their user journey? And what obstacles get in their way? Too many companies actually just skip this step because doing user research takes a ton of time and it doesn't immediately feel like you're making progress. And oftentimes as you do the research, it might feel like sometimes you're taking a step back versus just investing the same amount of time in updating, let's say, your homepage or your onboarding experience, where you can see those immediate wins very quickly. Yet, I promise you, by doing this research and understanding your user way better, you'll be able to build, a product-led model that gives away the right free features. You'll also be able to create a more irresistible free offer that increases your sign-up rates, and you'll be able to know exactly how to improve your onboarding experience and get users to value faster while increasing your free-to-paid conversion rate. So I just promised you a lot. As far as if you understand your user, there's many great things in store. So a company with a green score for their user component, they truly understand these things. What exactly or who exactly is their ideal users, what user success is for that user. They also know where their user typically starts off in their journey, and they know exactly what are those main obstacles that get in the way of those users seeing value. And best of all, the entire company understands these user issues. And so if that's not you, maybe you have a yellow score, which is typically when a company only understands who its ideal user is and has a vague idea of what user success is and what the user journey looks like for that user. Now, a red score is when you aren't quite clear on who your ideal user is and you're just catering to everyone. Now, my question to you is, what is your score? Because if, like the vision component, let's say your vision is okay right now, but your user component, you marked it red or yellow, this is where to focus before you move on to the model component. So focus here. This is where the highest leverage opportunity is in your business, because there's this, once again, strategic ordered growth. So the next up is the model component. This is what you're going to give away for free. Many companies think, all right, it's just a free trial or it's a freemium model, and they just debate between one or the other until they come to some consensus and they launch it. One thing I'll say that's kind of bold as it relates to what is your product-led model, in all honesty, it doesn't matter what your model is. What really matters is what makes the most sense for your ideal user. And now that you know who your ideal user is, you should be a lot closer to deciding what to give away for free that would provide them with the most value. So a company with a green score for the product-led model, they are really intentional with what they give away for free, and they gate the stuff that is either more complex or more for advanced users. So they give away the features that help their users level up the fastest, and they put more advanced features behind a paywall. And a lot of times, companies in the green score, they have a low churn rate in the first few months of new customers signing on, as they aren't paying to continue to test out the software. This happens a lot of times, and it's one of the easiest symptoms to spot in a lot of product-led models that aren't really that dialed in. They think it's an onboarding problem or it's a churn problem or something like that, but it's most often it's a product-led model problem because people are not getting enough value in that 7 or 14-day free trial. So they sign up, continue to use the product, and when they can't figure it out or if they forgot about the product, they just cancel it. And then the companies are like, what is going on with our short-term churn? So if you have a high short-term churn, chances are you have a yellow or red score for your product-led model. But let's dig into a yellow score. So a yellow score is when you give away some of the right features for free, and you have a good amount of users either request more time to use your free version to test it out, or they just never come back to the free experience because they didn't level up. They didn't have enough features to actually feel like, wow, I got to the next level. I love that product. I'm so excited to use it. So a red score is really when you just guessed what to give away for free, and you have a low percentage of users actually upgrading because they couldn't access any meaningful value in your free experience. And most likely you failed to engage your users in an impactful way. So be honest with yourself as it relates to your product-led model. What is your score? So now we finished phase 1. This is big. You can give yourself a nice pat on the back. We have, by this point, gone through the first 3 components of actually crafting and creating your growth blueprint. So by now, you should have a really good idea of where you need to focus on, whether it's your vision component, it's your user, or it's your model. Once those 3 components are green, and only green, you can jump into phase 2, which is about building your growth engine. So let's get into the 3 components of phase 2, and we'll actually, by the end of this, be able to build and craft a product that sells itself. So let's get into the first 3 components of phase 2. First up is the offer component. Now that you know what model is right for your specific users, this is how you speak to your website visitors and create an irresistible offer that they can't resist getting. If you're facing a low visitor to sign-up conversion rate, your offer might be the core issue here. And if you do have visitors who sign up, they might not actually stick around for that long after because they just aren't motivated enough to use your product for solving their specific problem. One, because they just don't understand what it is that your product does. That is why your offer is so important. So a company with a green score for their offer, what they really have is a crystal clear understanding on why users buy their solution. More specifically, they know the end result the user is looking for, and they communicate it really, really well. They know why their product is better. They know why it's lower risk, and they have a really good handle of knowledge around the specific pain points their users have that would trigger them to sign up and also not sign up. And they have a very high user to sign up conversion rate. So if that's not you, you might have a yellow score. And that would look like, well, your offer, it just, let's face it, isn't that compelling to your users. Your users just don't really understand what it is that your company actually does. And your messaging doesn't entirely speak to your ideal user. And a red score here for your offer really is when your users are just confused about what it is that you do. Very few users convert, and your offer is vanilla and not compelling one bit. So be honest with yourself. How would you score your offer? Is it green? Is it yellow? Is it red? Now that you've scored your offer, let's dive into the next component. This is all about the experience. The experience component is where we really look at your onboarding and a lot of interesting things about how we get people to value. So a lot of people will actually call this, just sum it up as user onboarding. So I actually like to call it the experience because for product-led growth to really work, you need to create an effortless experience in three main ways. The first one is really all about making it effortless to sign up. The second is about creating an effortless path to value. So it's easy to get to value within your product. The third is really making it effortless to upgrade within your product. Now, you can use some applications to help move this along, but the key here is to get users to value as quickly as possible so they reach that aha moment and understand how your product actually helps them solve their problems. So world-class green for a company would be it's effortless to sign up, it's effortless to get to value, and it's effortless for them to upgrade to a paid plan. Now, a yellow score for your experience would really look like when you only have one or two of those three components. A red score is when it's really hard for users to sign up, it's hard to get to value, and it's very difficult to pay for your product without actually talking to someone. So be honest, what is your experience score? What does that look like? This brings us to the third and last part of building a growth engine, which is the pricing component. So if it's hard for users to upgrade, then you'll want to look at your pricing. You need to align the pricing of the business with the value that the user actually gets from the product. Pricing is a really huge and tough nut to crack as a business, and one that either makes it easy for users to upgrade or not. So if you're green in the pricing component, you are going to be able to charge based on some form of usage or value, whether that's the number of contacts, the number of emails sent, the percentage of revenue that they generated through using your solution. And your users can quickly identify which plan is right for them as less than 5 seconds on your pricing page. And they can also understand what features your users will pay for. And you understand the willingness to pay for each plan. And your average revenue per user, it actually increases as users get more value from the product. And lastly, you'll notice a high percentage of users who have actually received value in the product, they just upgrade to a paid plan. So you have a high free to paid conversion rate. So a yellow score is really when you have a simple pricing plan for right now. You don't align your pricing with the value you provide as a solution. And you have a low free to paid conversion rate. Whereas a red score is really when you just guessed what to charge. It's fine. We all do it at some point in a business, but your pricing is also not aligned with the value your users receive. And very few users, unfortunately, upgrade to a paid plan. And those who do, they're the ones who reach out and they ask you for a discount. So if you're a red score, that's what to watch out for. What is your pricing score? Now, here's how this works. If you have a solid growth blueprint in place and are looking to improve your growth engine, where do you actually start? So if your offer has a low score, always start there. If users don't understand what the heck you do as a business, good luck. Trying to onboard them, never mind get them to upgrade, is just an uphill battle. But if you have a solid offer, but let's say a bad experience, don't worry about your pricing yet until your experience is dialed in. Users who get a ton of value will forgive you, even if your pricing is a bit complicated and confusing, as long as they've experienced the value of your product. Then, if your offer and experience are actually dialed in right now, you know it's time to actually focus on leveling up your pricing. So that is where you can know where to focus, whether it's your offer, it's the experience component, or it's your pricing component. And so now we're on to phase 3, the last phase of the product-led method. And this is really all about the exponential growth phase. The first component in this phase is all about data. So if you love data, you're in the right place. And if you don't worry about it. But good data essentially helps you understand where your users are dropping off and understand what signals should you actually look out for in relation to what needs work in your funnel. So if you have dashboards set up with the right metrics for each stage of the acquisition, the experience, and monetization, you will actually know by the end of this where to focus. And so if you have a great understanding of who your ideal user is and what kind of milestones they have to hit in your product, you'll know what to actually track. So a company with a world-class data component, they have dashboards set up to easily look at the data every day. And the majority of high-impact decisions they make are backed by, you guessed it, data. Everyone is accountable for a key metric that supports the growth engine. If that's you, you got a green score. Congratulations. A yellow score is when you have a tech stack in place that helps you quickly identify bottlenecks in your growth engine. And you have a really clear understanding of what actions inside the product help users reach that magical aha moment. And some people on the team are accountable for some metrics that support the growth engine, but there's still some gaps there. If that's you, congrats, you got a yellow score. Now, a red score is when you don't have any product analytics installed and you don't understand what your users are doing in your product. Essentially, you're flying blind and nobody is accountable for any major metrics that impact your growth engine. And decisions are made based on gut feel. So what is your data score? Are you red, green, yellow? What does that look like for your specific business right now? Next up is the process component. This is the 8th component, and then we're almost done. So if you built the right data, you should know once again where the problems are in your business. Then you can actually have experiments based on that data, and you can create a hypothesis regarding why engagement is low right now. And if you have a process in place, you can quickly make moves with your team to that experiment. A world-class green for your process means everyone is aligned and uses the growth process for launching experiments. And everyone in the company launches experiments. And you launch at an incredible rate of an amount of experiments with a high hit rate. That means you're not just launching any experiments, you're launching the ones that have a very high likelihood of having a high impact and are actually easy for you to roll out. Whereas a yellow score for your growth process is when only one person is following a growth process for launching experiments. And maybe you scope out experiments, which is great, but you only launch a few experiments every month. And if you're red for your growth process, then you're just kind of guessing whether or not you should do that experiment. Maybe it's the first thing that came to your mind and you're like, well, that sounds great. Let's do it. And so this is the very early stage of your growth process. We all do it at some point, but you aren't really prioritizing experiments based on what will actually have the biggest impact and help you fix bottlenecks in your growth engine. And you don't scope out experiments the right way. So what is your score when it comes to your growth process? Is it looking more red, yellow, green? What does that look like for your business? Finally, we've come to the last component, your team. So you need a team of A players to execute on everything. Once you realize where your bottlenecks are, you'll be able to actually hire the right person for that specific job. Say you realize you need help with acquiring more users. That might mean you need to hire someone like a head of content who owns organic search so you can really expand. So a green score for your team really means, one, you have an experienced team of A players on board to scale your growth engine. Two, you're out of the day-to-day of the business, running it as a founder. And three, your business actually grows when you're on vacation, which is awesome. And a yellow score here means you have one or more high impact leaders who can support your growth engine, but you're still wearing quite a few hats yourself. Two, you're supporting one or more of the growth pillars as the founder. Now, if you're red for your team component, you just have a team of individual contributors right now that supports the founder, and you're likely leading acquisition, engagement, and monetization as the founder. So my question to you is, what is your current team score? Congratulations on completing this workshop. By now, you've likely identified the strengths and weaknesses of your business components, and yellow or red areas are truly holding you back from achieving rapid growth and actually that synergy and scale you need to grow faster. So in my live workshops, whenever I used to go through this material, most entrepreneurs would end up with a model filled with yellow and red components, and only maybe one or two green components. So if that's you, rest assured, you're not alone. But here's the hard truth. Trying to scale without mastering these 9 components is like pushing a rock up a hill. It's where you play growth on hard mode. So what's your next move? You have 2 paths ahead of you. The first path is what most entrepreneurs choose. Trust me, I know this one. It's embarrassing. I do it way too often, but this is when you try and just figure it out all on yourself. You can guess, you can grind, and you can hustle, hoping that everything will just magically fall into place. And you might read a bunch of books, hoping for that aha moment of whenever you're stuck, what to do next. Or you can actually just take the fast track, the path that leads to real results. So if you're serious about scaling your product-led business faster and you crave a little guidance and support along the way, then product-led can actually be your compass. At product-led, we specialize in guiding entrepreneurs and teams like you step by step in implementing the product-led method. With our proven strategies, you can scale your business faster than ever before. Now, the choice is yours. Do you want to continue down the slow path, or are you ready to embrace the fast path to success? If you choose the slow path, feel free to stop watching this workshop now. Our goal is to still support you on your journey and give you as much free information as possible to succeed, even without our direct support. To start that off, I'd recommend reading our article on how to build out your vision components, which I've listed in the link below. But for those of you still here, thank you. It takes a lot of self-awareness and confidence to admit that, you know what, although you could absolutely implement everything we just went through today on your own, you know that deep down, that if you got help implementing product-led growth, you'd actually hit your goals way faster. So here's the real deal. It's not about information at this point in your product-led journey. It's about implementation and turning your business into a growth machine using the proven product-led method. So we can help you do just that. We've helped over 350 companies implement product-led growth, generate millions of dollars in self-serve revenue. And we've seen companies such as Snappa jump 20% in their monthly recurring revenue, basically overnight by focusing on just one component in their experience. Or we've also helped a $30 million company such as Keep double down on their product-led strategy and significantly improve their free to paid conversion rates. So let's dig into how we help companies like yours get results like these. But before I do, I want you to know this isn't a pitch. I'm not selling anything here. At the end of this, if you think we can support you, I'm just going to invite you to apply to our ProductLed Academy once, and you can understand what it's all about. And we will not take you on as a customer unless we're actually confident we can help you scale your product-led business. Now, let's dig into actually how do we help you scale faster, since you might be wondering about that. It really all starts with our unique approach, which are built on 3 pillars. First pillar is all about high impact coaching. So when you join ProductLed Academy, you will work with a coach in either a group or one-on-one capacity. And your coach is your guide. They are instilling the product-led mindset in your team, and they'll help you overcome any challenges that your business encounters and ensure you're on the fast path. And unlike an advisor who would simply give you the answers, a coach empowers you to discover the solutions yourself. After all, you know your business best, and you probably have, if you had the right mental framework around how to think about it, you would come up with the best answer for your business. The second pillar of our program is really the product-led method. Now, you know this really well if you got to this point in the workshop, so I won't go into it anymore. However, it's worth mentioning that every week during our coaching calls, we'll explore one component of the product-led method together so we can dive deeper and really come out of the program having developed all 9 components to really get that scale faster. And the third pillar is really about our team-based approach. So this is really what I feel separates us. And given that product-led growth is a go-to-market strategy, it would be foolish really not to involve your go-to-market team in the process. So during our coaching calls, we'll invite your go-to-market leaders to co-create their growth blueprints and growth engine with us. And the best part is, as we build out everything, you'll have a team that actually understands what product-led growth is all about, why it matters, what is the strategy, and they will fully support the changes required because they actually created it with you. Fancy that. So our approach really produces results, I believe, for 3 reasons. First, you're receiving continuous support throughout your product-led journey. We have a business model that supports this, so we can work with you as long as you need to implement product-led growth into your business. 2, you can implement a process that has been successfully vetted by hundreds of companies and is continuously refined. Every time we implement it with a company, we always ask, what worked? What didn't work? What could we be doing differently next time? And it's constantly getting better so that when you sign up, you are a benefactor of that improvement and you can scale much faster even than the previous companies that have gone through the process. So your team is a part of the process from day one, ensuring buy-in and long-term success in the implementation of the method. So now that you're familiar with our approach, I encourage you to explore ProductLed Academy. It's truly your gateway to implementing product-led growth, and it will propel your business forward along the fast path to success. And our academy really offers a highly structured approach to scaling, so you'll never be left scratching your head wondering, like, what should we be focusing on next? And you will notice a massive impact on your bottom line through this program. So all you have to do, if this sounds interesting to you, is click the link below to apply and learn more about ProductLed Academy and see if it's right for you. So remember, the fast path, it awaits you. Don't hesitate to seize this opportunity. Your journey to accelerated growth starts here. Hope to see you in ProductLed Academy. Bye for now.